Hello everyone, I am Lamis Kaddah. I wanted to be with you today to introduce myself and my project for you, but unfortunately I couldn't make it because I just gave birth to my baby. I graduated from architecture school in Syria at 2010, and it was hard to practice architecture after that because of the situation in Syria. At 2014, I moved with my family to Istanbul. It was even harder to find a job with no language and being new in a new place. But I decided to do something different. I volunteered with other Syrian and we started to do some projects for Syrian children to help them connect with each other and to feel better in their new life. At 2016, I participated in a project called Tahdir, which was focusing on rebuilding Syria after the war. There I met young Syrian architects and people from around the world. They came to tell us about their experience and projects they did in their countries. One in specific came from Bosnia, and she was telling us about projects they did to teach children about their heritage. I knew I should do something like this for the Syrian student, but our project there was focusing on architectural approach. I kept the idea in my mind. Then I had the chance to apply for this project. Pieces of Syrian Heritage is a project I worked on for the last 2 years. The project is designed for children, and its main goal to connect Syrian children with their heritage. The product I ended up with is a picture book for children at ages from 4 to 7. The Magical Words is a story about a dreamy girl. The girl who cannot understand the words she reads in her father's books. The words were new for her. She never saw them in her books or her sister's books. The magical words took her in a fairy journey, where they explain what each one means. At the end, she will find out where the words come from. The words are from the Ebletic language, which is the first language in Syria, the language of Ebla. Doing picture book was something I never knew. I never had one when I was a child, so it was something new for me. I had to learn everything about it. I met Mrs. Nikolai, who works as librarian at the German school in Istanbul, and we talked about what makes good picture books. After this, I started reading, searching, and collecting picture books. Then, I became a special student at Koç University for 1 semester. With support from Mrs. Luke, an archaeologist and lecturer at Koç University. There, she introduced me to Mrs. Alaja, who herself writes picture books. I took class with Mrs. Alaja about narratives and how we create our stories. I started to build my skills in writing stories and did more research about making picture books. I did my first story as part of the course, and it was a good experience for me to focus more on details and to clarify my ideas. At the same time, I was having drawing classes to improve my skills, because I wanted to do the book drawings by myself. With country like Syria has very wide and rich history, you will feel lost and distracted. I was looking for inspiration all around me. One of the workshops we had at the DIE was with Professor Zalberger. Talked about the ancient languages and how it developed. It was interesting for me, and I became familiar with the oldest language in Syria, the Ebletic language. So I chose to talk about it in my story. I thought children like mysterious things, and talking about old language from Syria will be interesting for them. Next was Munich, where I went to the International Youth Library, which is the biggest library for children books in the world, with more than 600,000 books and references. I read and read, lot of books from different languages, English, Arabic, Turkish, from different domains. I found books talking about heritage and different cultures from around the world. Stories told from different points of view. It widened my imagination and made me more familiar with picture books. I felt like I can now say I know what picture book is. At the same time in Munich, I met Mrs. Paula. She is a researcher and her PhD is about the epileptic language. She provided me with the words I needed in my story. After this, I had my last workshop with Mrs. Zainab Koban from Istanbul Technical University. She did a lot of workshops with children about history, city, and archaeology. We planned together to do workshops for Syrian and Turkish students studying together at Turkish schools. For 5 days at Akşam City School, we worked as 3 groups: theater group, city planning group, and book group. We focused on city elements and neighborhood. The book group, which I worked with mainly, focused on teaching the children how they can do their own book. I tried to teach them all the basics that I learned about creating picture book. We designed together a pop-up book. They wrote the story and did the drawings. We tried to guide them through the process. This workshop was really helpful for me because I had the time with the children, reading stories and discussing with them what they understand from the books. During the last 2 years, the project was going in a lot of ups and downs. Sometimes I thought I will never be able to do it, but at the end, with all the people I met, the places I went to, every book I read, and every museum I visited, every workshop I attended, I was becoming closer and closer to the answer. Those 2 years made me believe again that I still have the power and the courage to work and study, and still have the creativity and imagination that I had when I was a student. What is next for me? Am I going to continue with writing for children? Or I will get back to architecture? Both are things I love, and I will do my best to find my way between both. What really matters for me is to help Syrian people, inside and outside of Syria, to live better life and to get better chances. At the end, I would like to thank the German Archaeological Institute team and Gerda Henkel Foundation for supporting us and giving us the chance to be here. Thanks for helping us make our dreams come true.